So the other day there was another pre-briefing call that happened for creators and press talking about what's upcoming in Season 2 Reloaded. That update is going out later this week, and of course we'll cover everything here that happens, so stick around here on the channel. But today I want to break down what they told us, some big changes coming, details you should be aware of, and everything in between in relation to the Warzone side of things. As the time of this video going out, it's embargoed and scheduled for when this goes live. There should be a blog post either up already and already live, or shortly thereafter this video goes live, that blog post should be live. So that's something that should back up most of, if not all of, what we talk about here in this video, but also may perhaps add to the Vanguard side of the discussion as well, because for this video, we're only going to be talking about the Warzone side of things. We only chatted with Ted Timmons, creative director at Raven working on Warzone, and Alexi Mumin, communications director for Raven on Warzone as well. So the intel that we got was specifically for Warzone, and Vanguard wasn't touched. So in that sense, I'm also excited to see what the blog post may hold in regards to the second half of the content distribution. But while we break down what's coming for Season 2 Reloaded and beyond, drop your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to Rebirth Resurgence that we're getting? Are you looking forward to any of the quality of life changes? Feel free to drop it down below. But as well, if you enjoy the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so that it's all things Warzone, Vanguard, and of course, anything Season 2 Reloaded related as we gear up for a big week ahead. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel a little further, if anything in the COD shop ever interests you, maybe consider using creator code ESPRESSO. It's entirely optional, so don't ever feel pressure to do so. But if you do, tweet me a picture. I'd love to shout out some of your generous support in upcoming videos. That said, let's jump into it. Firstly, they prefaced this by talking about some key things that were brought up to attention in the last debrief that we had at the start of Season 2 or shortly there before, in which this stuff isn't coming in Season 2.5 here, but instead is something that's being evaluated further and also still has fixes already on the horizon in Season 3. FOOTSTEP audio, being that ambient and directional audio, is already confirmed to have changes coming in Season 3, and that's something that I'm very much so looking forward to. I've had plenty of times, especially as of lately, where there hasn't really been any FOOTSTEP audio that could have helped me survive a situation. Instead, it kind of directly led to a death that I wasn't aware was coming. And then aim assist was something that was touched on briefly. There was a certain creator who kept pulling a Kanye like it was the 2009 VMAs and interrupting everyone else's important questions in the Season 2 pre-briefing to only keep coming back and complaining about aim assist, to which that then prompted further acknowledgement from the team at Warzone and further deep dives into if anything is bugged. But they assured us that while nothing has been changed yet, they're still monitoring it, so we'll see where that goes in the future. Now, as for Season 2, they did note that at the start there was some good feedback so far on what they implemented, some of the big quality of life changes, the things like the redeploy balloons and all that kind of stuff. But then they also mentioned how that as of recently they were experimenting with the plus 50 health in Vanguard Royale, to which they then followed up by saying that was very well received. It seemed like everybody positively liked that change, and so therefore they actually will be making it with the Season 2 Reloaded update apply also to traditional standard battle royale. So you're now going to have that extra 50 health base, so that you'll have 150 health right off the rip, even without armor, and then 150 that you can add on top of that. So adding, in theory, usually about like 2 to 3 extra shots to kill in most engagements. That also will affect some of the balancing we've seen within the sniper category in Vanguard Royale already applied, where that's going to increase some of the damage, where it will allow for one-shot headshots still, but you'll see some differences in other gameplay mechanics as well in terms of other weaponry. Now, one thing that was interesting is that while some of the big focus here is going to be for Rebirth Island, like we'll talk about in just a second, this change doesn't seem like it's going to apply to Rebirth Island just yet. So it seems to progressively be rolling out, but not in every corner of Warzone just yet. So that's something that may come Season 3 perhaps, but right now it's going to apply to traditional BR in CALDERA. Vanguard Royale, which we'll talk about, actually won't be a thing here within Season 2.5, but not Rebirth. Now, as for talking Rebirth, though, again, some of those big changes here coming along with it. We'll have those map changes, quality of life changes that come along with this as well. So we already saw a preview from the image we talked about on Friday, those map changes to security as well as the new docks. Security is going to be something that's changed out now to the point of stronghold. That's something that they described was on the heat maps when they take a look at all the action from every game played on Rebirth. Security was by and far the least utilized area of the map. And honestly, I said that from the beginning. I don't think that I've gone there more than 2 times since Rebirth dropped willingly. So that's something that hopefully this incentivizes some play out that way as well. And then the docks, the 2 naval ships here, they did mention that on top of new high-level loot and everything that you can go there for new points of interest, that those would actually have some Easter eggs associated with them. Now, I tried to refrain from getting my hopes up because it's been since Rebirth Island was introduced in December of 2020 since we've had a true dedicated Easter egg, but maybe, I don't know. The other big thing here in terms of the map changes that we're going to see redeploy balloons actually on Rebirth Island now, which is awesome to me. I quite like these here within Caldera. I think they're a great way to rotate in and around positions or just play super aggressive, and that's something that now is going to be coming to Rebirth Island and allows for a various number of ways you can play the game on top of the ways you already can. So very much so looking forward to that. It is a much smaller map, of course, but curious to see how it plays out, how many we'll actually get. Very much so looking forward to it, though. They also mentioned, though, coming with this, we'll also see new features coming to Rebirth Island, but some of these also potentially coming later on down the line to Caldera. Now, one of which was the communications towers, where you can end up going and interacting with these for $1,500, $1,500 in cash, and you'll get one UAV ping, so not the full ping, and they're around fixed locations around the map. So you can go to these, utilize these for some quick intel for a lot cheaper than what would be a normal UAV for $6,000, but that's something that is going to offer a new way to maybe make a decision on your gameplay based explicitly off that. They also said they're going to be introducing the new weapon trading system here, in which it looks like the buy stations, but instead of paying with cash, you pay with a weapon instead. So if you put in, say, a legendary blueprint, you'll get legendary field upgrades, gas masks, or anything else like that that can come along with that. It's also going to be something that works alongside in tandem with the fire sale. So that's something that you can get those higher level items for, maybe say lower rarities in your weapon trade-ins for that. So very curious to see how this will play out, what's actually going to be on offer, and if this is something that's utilized to the degree that it has the potential to be. Now, this was actually described as coming to Caldera explicitly later on, though no ETA was actually given. My guess, maybe Season 3. Now, alongside these Rebirth changes, we're going to, of course, have the community events and public events here happening with this, the Resurgence events, which will have a couple of different things associated with it, but also alongside that, they're kind of rolling out these events like they did with the Search and Deploy event, where it's also going to be encompassing a certain number of weeks time frame where you're going to have limited things alongside that in game. So with that, we'll see the first 3 weeks including 3 different modes, one each week. Firstly, Blood Money, in which you get more cash on kills and contracts. We'll have Rebirth Payload, which is that sort of TDM objective style mode where it's not necessarily just once you die, you're out. It's kind of that standard multiplayer mode here, but on Rebirth. And instead of 2 trucks you have to escort now or defend against, it's only 1 single truck. So that'll make it interesting. And then Resurgence Solos is going to be introduced here for the very first time as a part of this event as well. This is something that if you think about dying in Rebirth and not having the ability to have a teammate to bring you back up, how do you have Resurgence? Well, that's a great question, and that was something that influenced the design here for quite some time, and maybe why it hasn't happened since, but it's going to be something that allows you to end up dropping into the game, but if you stay alive for 30 seconds after that redeploy, you earn another redeploy. But if you die, even say at 29.5 seconds after you've redeployed, then your redeploy doesn't count for another one, and you're dead and done. That's where your game ends. So it really comes down to making sure that you don't jump too quickly into fights, maybe hold off for just a little bit. But then the only other thing that came along with these Rebirth specific things is that they mentioned that there's going to be a sort of community contract returning here, which we haven't seen since Black Ops 4, which is interesting. But I think that in all of this, Ted mentioned that it was 20 million kills cumulatively for the entire everybody in the world playing has to achieve. So of course you don't have to get 20 million kills, but that will then reward the community with, I would imagine, a blueprint, though that was not really anything explicitly stated. So interesting changes here coming to Rebirth and the event to follow. But outside of that, in terms of other changes applying to not only just Rebirth but also Caldera, also quality of life changes, we'll see the armored convoys actually are decreased in number across Caldera. And also coming to Caldera in terms of the overall play space, Battle Royale and Vanguard Royale are now going to be seemingly combined. They said there's no explicit Vanguard Royale playlist here going from Season 2.5 onward, where they don't want to split the communities into 2 major separate factions or anything like that. But I'm very curious what that means for some things, fundamentally speaking, because of course you have those loadout drops that come in at 2 very different times and 2 very different parameters on how you can obtain them between regular traditional Battle Royale and Vanguard Royale. And of course there are other things also, like stuns and dead silence being removed entirely from Vanguard Royale. There's just some of those fundamental things that I'm curious to see how that shapes up going into now a combined playlist here with it, where you don't have anything explicitly banning certain subsets of weapons or anything like that. But rounding out this video with quality of life changes, we're going to see quite a few here with this, and honestly a lot of these I'm very much so looking forward to. You of course have those ones we've talked about before, the ability to drop your gas mask, pick up plates from an armor satchel on the ground, which they also mentioned there's going to be a new UI element as well that shows how many plates will actually be in that satchel on the ground. You'll be able to choose your revive state, either in a crouch or prone position. But then you also have a ton of new things that they mentioned for the first time, like the gas mask change that is well overdue, in which it's going to remove the mid-air animation to pull down that gas mask. So picture this, you're jumping off a roof on, say, Rebirth Island, top prison or whatever, and the zone is just about to touch your back. Now, as it is right now, that mask will automatically pull down, and you won't be able to utilize anything else, i.e. your parachute, so therefore you die to fall damage. This is going to remove that, so that's no longer an issue, which is a huge change and one that's, again, very much so looking forward to that. Then we also will see that parachutes, in talking about parachuting there, they're firstly fixing that bug right now with operators having different speed, Vanguard versus Modern Warfare and Cold War operators, and then you'll also be able to cut the parachute much lower to the ground, which is, thank goodness. That has gotten me killed so many times here, especially with this change to being able to pull your parachute closer to the ground and not having to be as high up. So that's something that's going to be phenomenal here. So you're not just coasting down a mountain at a perpetual, I can't cut my chute height, and you're just sitting ducks there. That's great. We're going to see a portable buy station here, which is interesting. You're going to be able to throw a marker like a loadout drop, and a buy station will come down here with that. That is going to be huge, I think, for late game plays. So curious to see if there's any parameters that are limiting here with this, or if there's anything like the Nebula 5 bombs where you can't call them in after a certain time. We'll also have a couple of things with contract changes. Visibly, they're tilting it at a 45-degree angle in the world, so it's a little bit easier to see as opposed to it standing straight up. The contract progress is something that will have its UI ironed out a little bit further. There's also going to be a rebalancing of the contract distribution in the world. They said they wanted to prioritize a little bit more on bounties, if I'm not mistaken, so that'll be something that you'll see probably a little bit more of those. The most wanted contract is actually going to be removed from the top secret pool, that random chance that you can end up getting of other items. So that is awesome. I know that's one that was kind of more punishing more than rewarding if you were trying to get a top secret contract complete. So that's something you won't have to worry about anymore. The smoke grenade will now have a little red aura around it to denote the differentiation between the smoke grenade and a loadout drop marker. That's going to be nice as well. The heavy weapons drops are going to be updated to change out some of that loot. And then Ted mentioned that we'll see a commendations update. Didn't really go too far in depth into that, but that's probably not too big in the grand scheme of things here. Commendations really don't do much for you game to game. That's more so just like a back end completionist thing for those that care about that kind of stuff. But to round out these quality of life changes, they ended up telling us that there's going to be a fix so that you're actually able to activate an XP token in game, which is huge. Next step, of course, being don't count out of game time, but that's awesome to be able to do that here within Warzone. Hopefully I can follow suit within Vanguard as well. But anyways, that is the big changes here that we were told as of this past week ahead of the Season 2.5 or Season 2 Reloaded update coming later this week. That update is scheduled. Currently, they were kind of dodgy on the timing, so it might be something that's subject to change. Again, it might be nailed down here as this blog post going live in conjunction with this, but Wednesday night as the update, but the playlist and the content itself will not go out until Thursday at 12 or 1 p.m. Pacific time, so 3 or 4 Eastern and 5 or 6 in the UK. So that's where we're gonna wrap this video up. That's everything here that you need to know in relation to Season 2.5, Season 2 Reloaded, at least on the Warzone side of things that we were told a little bit ahead of time. So I want to share this with you guys and let you know everything you need to, but that's where we're gonna wrap it up. So give me your thoughts down below. Do you guys like the sound of some of these changes? Maybe not so much. Are you hoping for a little bit more? Whatever the case, drop it down below. But if you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, especially here as we gear up for Season 2.5, Season 2 Reloaded, come later this week. But that said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.